Welcome everybody to MC Toon Live, my channel here. I'm your host MC Toon, and today we have a little bit of a different thing. We have something that's been in the works for a long time that we're going to get into. Steve's going to explain it, but quick, he has a fundraiser it's linked in the description, and it's pinned in the comments section, so you can all join in as it's already there. Anyway, welcome everybody to Steve Parsons, and I'll let him introduce the rest of the video here.
Hello, thanks for having me. It's been a little while, hasn't it, since I've been on your show?
It has.
So I'm a lot of people in the chat will probably know me anyway, but I'm the actor and the creator of The Conspiracist. And we've done a pilot, which has been out about a year now, and I'm now going to make that into a feature film because it proved popular enough, got just under a million views across all clips and platforms and stuff like that. And some of the feedback was really good. So I now want to make it into a feature film, which will be my first 90-minute. It'll be the same style. We've got a few clips we're going to show, of course. It'll be the same style as the pilot, as in it's a mockumentary, like very sort of British, deadpan, dry humour. But it's a bit more, because of the length of it, it's obviously got more of a narrative as a film now. So it's going to be exploring a lot more about what happens when people fuse their online world with their actual real world identity, which is something I'm sure everybody here who watches Flat Earth debunking channels regularly will be all too familiar with. I think it's very relevant for the time we live in as well, because it's not just conspiracy theories anymore. Everyone's got a faction. Everyone's fusing everyone's forgetting what their real personalities are and adopting one from some sort of tribe or conspiracist cult-like faction. And I want to explore that in the narrative. So it's going to be done mockumentary, so as if my character Brian is having a documentary made about him, but he thinks he's having it made about him because he's got all this special knowledge and he knows what the government are really up to, as they all do, even though they've all got various stories, which are always exciting. But actually, he's having a documentary made about him because he's a case study. He's a case study for what happens when people forget who they are in real life and start just going online and saying the most ridiculous things. I think conspiracies and flat earth aside, these days a lot of people are just all too quick to just make a video of their opinion and just go, let's put that online, and it's out there. And you're going to get judged in 10, 20 years, not necessarily judged in a harsh way, but I mean, can you sort of stand by it in 10, 20 years? And I think that's what a lot of people have been. I'm sure people are curious about that with flat earthers in particular, because they're the sort of quintessential, internet rogue, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I look at them and think, well, if they have kids, like your kids aren't going to like this. This isn't going to look well for you in the future. If you ever apply for a job that's a serious, like a professional job, right? There's ramifications to saying things like that. And some people, sometimes it's said they're doing it to fake it, but it's such a detrimental thing to the rest of your life that putting yourself out there, holding such a ridiculous position that, the people that use their real identity, I don't think they're faking it. I think you wouldn't, because it affects everything. And I think your character really shows that.
Yeah, I mean, I try and make my character's, he's an isolated guy, so he hasn't had a lot of people to bounce his beliefs off. And I think that's quite a core to how it starts for people with wacky conspiracist beliefs anyway, because some of the ones, like, I used to think that flat earth was like the keystone, that once you believe in flat earth, that's like the peak of the pyramid. It's not. That's where it really unlocks the rest of them. And some of the stuff that I see people coming out with online, like adults thinking they can talk to dragons and giving out. Like I saw a guy on Katz's channel the other night that this guy was like looking at a stone staircase on a hill in the British countryside, and instead of looking at it going, "That's a stone staircase," he was like, "Dragon esophagus. That's like an ancient fallen dragon," and it's like. I don't know how long you have to be isolated before you start putting those beliefs online. I don't think it's always that long, but this is the problem with like now that we've got an online world where we can just put out our opinions willy-nilly. People they often have this like audience that they're picturing that are watching them, which are often not the case. They're thinking of this adoring audience, and Brian in the film actually he's basically preparing to have like an expose. Like he's hired out an auditorium. He's invited people. He's printed flyers. He's got a whiteboard and everything and a spirit level, and he thinks he's about to expose stuff. Just assuming because of like the 10 people he might get on his live stream who's commenting, going like, "Yeah, we've got to get the truth out there, bro." And it's like none of you are willing to get on the bus and come to this expose, let alone actually go and get the truth out there. But where people get their feedback from, if you the more increasingly online someone is, they're only really getting their feedback from the keyboard, from their live chat. Whereas when they start putting it out into the real world, like I'm sure I put this question out to my viewers a month or so ago. Have you ever just like been at the supermarket or something like that, or been chatting to someone and they've just gone like, "Yeah, but you know, alien lizard people overlords, definite fact," and it's like there's a lot more people permeating normal society than I'm willing to accept, really. But
well, certainly a lot of people are familiar with things like that and then say it sarcastically. But
probably a tester, isn't it?
It could be, for sure. It could be, but also I think a lot of people just aren't interested enough in that kind of super out there stuff, right? There's certainly plenty of conspiracies that people get into that aren't, they don't break the laws of physics, right? So, some nefarious group somewhere is doing something to hide something. Okay, fine. That's within the realm of physics. But when you get to flat Earth, when you get to talking to dragons, some continent is the ancient remains of a beast. Those. I think there's a line once you cross into the supernatural requirements, and flat Earth is certainly on the other side of that. Lizard people too, but. So I think that has to be a smaller number, and that people say it mockingly. But it could be, to be fair, as you're saying, people are in their echo chambers. You didn't use that term, but right, they're in their echo chambers online. That's what they get. That's all they know. They're like, can you believe in the year 2026 that people think the Earth is a globe? Like, of course, that's ridiculous. That's just you being in your echo chamber and not knowing anybody else. But in reality, am I in an echo chamber because of the people that I talk to are, I don't know, the people I work with and the people that I associate with, they're not into that kind of stuff. So maybe that's my echo chamber, and I don't generally run into people that are of that opinion. But maybe they know and they just don't say it.
So a common thing I've noticed is people quite often seem to think that the majority of people agree with them because their algorithm is showing them content that they've already watched that there's a maybe 70-80% chance they agree with. I'm plucking that figure out of thin air, of course, but
yeah,
because they read the comments of the kind of content they want, they tend to think that everyone is on their side of the opinion, and it happens across political spectrum, across conspiracy stuff, across. I mean, there's football sports conspiracies and film conspiracies, but it's like if you're already into that sort of content, you're being fed other people. And I think a lot of people are wise to it these days. I feel like there's a shift, but there's also a shift in the actual monetization of it getting wise to it as well. They're not. They're branching out. I mean, where do you identify the difference between when someone's a believer? Because my character, I've tried to write him. He's a like you obviously you've seen the pilot. He's a likable enough guy. Well, you're in the pilot, of course. He's a likable enough guy. He's not the brains of Britain, but he's not a complete idiot. He's one of those people that thinks he's getting the truth out there. He thinks he's doing a public service. But where do you draw the line, like you personally? Like where do you think it changes from being someone like Brian, he's sort of accidentally perpetuating this misinformation because he thinks he's right. But between someone like that and someone who knows they're talking nonsense, where do you personally think you must have noticed it before? There's a moment with some of them where you go, I know what you are now.
Honestly, I haven't spoken to many flat earthers that I thought were just talking nonsense, and they knew it. And that goes back to what I said before. I think in order to use your real identity to state something as ridiculous as flat earth, a rational person knows that is a detriment to them publicly and privately and professionally. So unless they're just super desperate for that tiny bit of monetization, I don't think people will do it publicly if they're not serious about it.
Yeah, I can imagine a lot of the Discord chats are very sort of, anonymous online name type word salads just to sort of hide their identity. But I mean, I think a lot of this is why I think it's a better time than anything. I feel like to make the film. I was going to make it as a series before, but I think the way society is getting more and more like there's a whole economy that now like the people that are just making content online. It doesn't even have to be true anymore, and everyone sort of knows someone like Brian who's fallen down a rabbit hole. I've had people message me in the past actually saying like, I know you don't mean to, but in that it was a video I did where I was following some sort of lockdown protest, and it was like they're basically their brother or cousin, I can't remember, was in the start of the video, and they were just they politely said, like, do you mind just trimming him out because it's just a bit heartbreaking? And it's like, well, okay, yeah, it's really not a big deal. You got me just as I uploaded it. I don't mind cutting off 15 seconds if that makes you feel a bit better, because they were just like, I just hate to see him like this because he's got a lot going for him, but he's just suddenly, he's got a couple of mates who are they now just sort of validate each other, and whenever they come, they've already sort of. She specifically said, I remember, like they sort of made their mind up before they brought it to anyone else. Like they're all starting to get these views, and then they didn't see him for a couple of months, and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, don't worry about all this. It's all a ploy. It's this whole thing that's going on right now in the world is just it's just a test.
Yeah, I see that. I there's a hope that it's just a phase, that they'll come out of it and maybe won't have some public exposure as being out there, right? I think that's a thing too.
Yeah, I mean, I think individually people could be going through phases, but I think I can see this sticking around because I first thought that this was gonna be a bit of a flash in the pan. It will come and go, and it has for some flat earthers. But some of them are just getting into it. And I think there's a cycle, isn't there? There's a bit of it, like, if they do end up getting out of it, it depends on how deep they go. Usually after a point, they don't seem to be able to. It's the same with any of these. I think it must be hard, though. Like, once you find yourself putting videos on the internet where you're pretending you can talk to dragons, how do you really sort of come back from that? And it's like, the ones that get me are like, the ones that they're talking to each other in their like light language or whatever they call it. Yeah, have you seen them?
I have.
And it's like they must be like one of them's looking at the other one, thinking, "I know you're talking nonsense," because I know I'm talking nonsense.
Yeah, They have to.
Well, say you're talking nonsense, you're going to know that I know I'm talking nonsense.
It's the people that pretend that they're talking with aliens, and they have this whole universe that they've created. And if you're going to participate, you've got to mesh in. You can't come in saying, "Wait a second, there's no Pleiadians. That doesn't exist. It's actually this other thing." You can't do that because then you're going to clash with that. So the people that choose to enter into that universe have to say, I know I need to mesh, so I will make up whatever story they make up. They're going to make it up to mesh with it. And they know it's crap. They know it.
Have you seen that woman who, she goes on the astral plane apparently, and she's been to some wonderful places. She's been to like Area 51 apparently. She's been to the moon.
Of course.
I'm pretty sure I saw her saying she's been to like the surface of the sun, but because obviously it's not her real world physical self.
That's all possible then, right? Yeah.
Survived. But I think I think there was one recently where she was like, she's been to the Big Bang or something like, because she can obviously.
Oh, of course.
Travel as well now.
Yeah, why not?
Obviously. Daft to think otherwise. That's the silly part.
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah, she's gone back to the Big Bang, and I can't help but think she just likes being on a podcast.
Oh yeah.
There's no one no one's questioning her properly. I mean, they're asking questions about the Big Bang and about Area 51 and that, and like no one's thought to say, "Are you sure? Did you actually? What did you do in the preceding 12 hours before you went to the Big Bang? Was there any sort of mushroom-looking stuff you had for your dinner?"
No, it's all fake. They obviously and
but they believe each other.
But well, they individually know that they're faking it, right? But the viewers don't. The viewers think it's all real. And they never tell any useful information. Like, oh, I went to Area 51. Well, what did you see there? Aliens and spaceship. Okay, and what was the building like? Oh, I wasn't paying attention. Like, they never give anything useful. Like, well, they were talking
the buildings tend to look like the ones that AI can generate, I've noticed. Which is
yeah. Or they're like, oh, I talked to these aliens. Oh, what did they say? Oh, we're just here with a message of happiness and hopefulness for all of humanity. Really? That's it. Well, you could say anything along those lines. It's useless. You can't confirm that they actually saw anything, right? And to just believe it, like, oh, so gullible. But it's really no different than the flat Earth followers who there's no explanation provided other than some wishy-washy word salad, which is the same thing as I visited Area 51 or I talked to the Galactic Council. It's all the same thing, just a bunch of words to fool the people that want to be fooled. Pretty much.
Yeah, because they all know they're all at it to some degree, aren't they? They're all it pays. I mean, I don't know who I blame more sometimes, the actual people making the videos or the people that regularly watch them. I mean, I blame the people that make the videos more, admittedly.
Yeah,
but sometimes I just think, well, if you are falling for this,
well, you can blame the platforms that allow it too, because at different times, different platforms will promote or not promote things. So in 2016, 2017, YouTube was promoting it because they didn't have anything in their algorithm to say, well, there's some things that we don't like. They didn't have that. They just said, oh, well, this person said some words that were science adjacent, and this person here likes science videos, so we'll just send them some of those. But then they went through a phase in YouTube and Facebook where they were not promoting that kind of stuff. But now with TikTok adding pressure, and they have very little care about what type of content, and Facebook having a little more of a financial challenge, they're like, well, whatever drives engagement, that's what we want. And so Facebook has turned around from where it used to be, and they're heavily promoting all the conspiratorial stuff. That's where the people talking to dragons and their light language crap, and the have you seen with like doing the pulling things? They're like, I'm pulling out all the negative from your body. Like, no, you're not. Or they're getting scissors and doing it. Like, but that drives engagement, and so Facebook pushes that because they need the engagement because their money is tighter than it was before. So that's where some of the blame goes too.
I agree. I think a lot less people are actually taking those platforms as serious as they used to. Well, not serious. I don't took it seriously, but it was actually a place where people would go and engage and, communicate on a social level to an extent. But now, I check notifications. I don't even bother scrolling through because I know it's all just been engineered to farm my attention for as long as possible. Like,
Yes.
Doesn't need to make any sense. My algorithm is mainly football, comedy, and dog videos and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's still like I'm just watching stuff online. I should be getting on with stuff. But I think people have just gotten a bit more because they've engineered it so hard. And they've really pushed the whatever it takes to keep people watching. It's become really transparent now, and no one really. It's made me really. I mean, as it should in a way, especially watching Flat Earth, it's made me really skeptical of just anything. Anytime anyone's got like a claim or a cause, you're just like, do you know anything about this? So it's damaging people that are probably telling the real content, talk about real subjects and things like that. And I'd like to believe them. Like, say you get someone that's educated in a particular subject, I'd love to believe you. But how do I know that you are actually educated or you just think you are?
Well,
and now you think you can monetize your whatever degree of knowledge you've got.
Yeah. Well, that kind of correct skepticism is really good because there's people don't know how to evaluate whether or not something's legitimate. That's how they fall into these things. And maybe with the proliferation of all this nonsense, over time, this will develop in people an ability to identify BS. And maybe I'm being too optimistic here. But when AI video got good enough that you could, on a cursory viewing could not tell, people were fooled, and they're still getting fooled. And AI video is getting better, but people, I think, are more likely to say, wait a second, let me check to see if that is AI, or let me go ask somebody that knows to get some sort of confirmation instead of just saying, okay, that's real.
Yeah, there's always going to be a large number of people, though, isn't there, that just don't think like that.
Of course.
Because ultimately, 49% of people are below average intelligence. Or obviously, the average is actually going to be fatter than as a percentage than that. It'll be wider. But you know what I mean? There's a good chunk of people, at least 33%, and they've got the same power to vote as everyone else.
Well,
that's what's annoying about.
Yeah. How do you take that away? I don't think that's a thing.
I just think people should. I think tests. And like, if you pass certain levels of tests, you get like 1.2 votes, something like that.
If you have 160 IQ, do you get like 20 votes?
Well, if you're willing to get like 3 PhDs or something like that, then you might get to like 1.7 votes.
Oh,
That's
all right.
you,
There we go.
We could all take like levels of tests, but then that would get a bit complicated, wouldn't it? And I don't see that happening because then people would lose votes.
Yeah, that's not the solution. We're joking.
No.
Don't go take this and make a whole thing out of it. All right. Well, tell us about a little more about the video here, the documentary.
Should we stick a clip on?
Sure. I got the 3. You made 3.
3 over here in different scenes.
So let's see.
Put on the one with the debate in the scientists, because that's the one that got the most views by far online. I think that's a more popular one.
All right. So
anyone who hasn't seen the pilot, then, so this is a clip of me playing Brian Kirby, the conspiracist.
So let's see. Oh, there it is. Okay, so that's the one. It was vertical, so I'll make it. I'll fix it. Okay. Let's see here. Let me get it. I'll do full screen, and they won't see you or me while it goes. All right, here we go.
The point is, look, we're not talking about just a little bit of an experiment. We're talking about years and years of experimental evidence, and you've got to have years of experimental evidence with other people checking your work to see if it makes sense, and if they can reproduce those results, and if the theory is predicting those results. You're just pouring water on a melon.
Have those people done their own research?
Yes.
How do you explain how the tides work?
Well, this isn't my field, but it's quite a well-known process how tides work, because the Earth is spinning.
I know how tides, yeah.
And at the same time, the Moon, which revolves around the Earth, has a gravitational pull.
I do have empathy, as you know, but that's where, and with all due respect, it's the education system's fault. It's not yours. Space isn't real.
Space isn't real.
No.
What do you mean?
You've seen Star Trek, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So effectively, what they learnt from Star Trek was that they can convince people there is such a thing called space. I know, mental, innit? But really, we live in a confined container on a flat plane. So none of the heebie-jeebie voodoo stuff you've seen on Star Trek, Star Wars, same thing.
But then what's outside the container?
Who knows? That's the beauty of
well, we all do know. Space is space-time.
Okay, so you can't answer that one. Flight paths. Why? Like, so if the Earth was a globe,
yeah,
flights would be able to just go anywhere around it, wouldn't they? Like, they would just sort of spin wherever they feel like it. Like, you wouldn't really have to even coordinate it. But because of the flat Earth, you have to have all these, like, special units, like airports, if you will, that are together communicating to make sure they don't collide. And that's what they do on the flat plane. It's vital. If it was a globe, we wouldn't need all this. We wouldn't need.
Why would you need it on a globe? You've still got the same issue about you can't have planes colliding.
You'd have a lot more space, and then you could just sort of, if you thought you were going to crash, you could just keep going and going. It's like circling the block.
Yeah, but the Earth's a very big planet. It would take you a very long time to go around it. So they want to save fuel. They don't want to.
We've established it's not a planet as we think, though, wouldn't we? So
well, no, you've said that, but yeah. You know, the Earth is a globe, and you can't just fly all the way around it until you land. You've got to go from A to B in the shortest possible journey. I don't see how your theory about aeroplanes really proves it's.
Sounds mental, I know, but it's not.
I love his face. He's just the what? Because that's when flat earthers eventually get to talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about, but they haven't been primed. That's what they get. They're like, "What the hell are you talking about? That makes no sense." I love it. Such a good clip.
It must be painful for scientists when they see this. You can see the dread when they're talking to someone, and the sort of the life just fall out of them, and they're just like, "Get me out of this conversation immediately," because they haven't got time for it generally, have they? Like, flat earthers' answer to scientists won't debate us. It's like, yeah, they're too busy trying to advance science. They're not interested in your YouTube channel. Like, they got a lot to do.
Yeah,
sure.
You see some of the
actually, like,
you see some of the there's a couple that are more debate interested flat earthers, but they only want to debate the big name science communicators. Like, you won't even debate, regular people that are engaged in the topic, and you think that you're able to debate the big names. Like, you actually don't. You're not ready. You wouldn't know what to do, because you've so many of them, they've not even ever correctly thought. They've never actually correctly done an experiment. They've never formulated a hypothesis. They've never done the work of computing what the hypothesis would predict and then going and testing that. None of that stuff. And they're like, oh, I know more science better than... No, you don't.
It's the delusions of grandeur, isn't it? Well, one of my personal favourite lines from the pilot was when Brian ever so seriously just says, I've stumbled across all this special information that all the world scientists haven't. Because that's effectively what they're saying with anything. It's like, you can study this for 30, 40 years. You can have, your papers peer reviewed, and you can publish books and be extremely well respected in your field. But you and every single other scientist has missed what Dave, who works down the Londis, has stumbled across. And there used to be a bit more of an excuse, there used to be, the way the internet used to be was we used to go looking for stuff on the internet, and now that stuff comes looking for you, like to get all doomsday about it. But it's engineered, isn't it? And it's no one in any tech office gives a damn about who's falling down what rabbit hole and what the actual consequences are. I mean, I can't ever see them being held accountable because it's such a vague, you can just point at whoever, can't you? And it wasn't me, it's company policy that we design our platforms like this. But it's I mean, as you've seen the pilot, it's a similar sort of theme in it. As the film goes on, you sort of see that Brian's he has built his whole identity around this, and as the documentary crew start to interview friends and family and that sort of thing, you sort of realise that he's missing almost just like one thing in his life could have completely altered the course of his actions and where he ends up spending his time, because it's one of those, it's like an unhealthy vice, right? I sort of see it sometimes, I think of it like this: flat earth and conspiratorial thinking is kind of like an unhealthy vice. You lose those years, if you're so deep into a vice, or if you're so deep into flat earth, you lose time, and there's no getting that back. There's no, that didn't work out, let's have another go at those 10 years. No, you just, and sometimes the damage can be lasting as well, as we've all seen with certain conspiracists. I mean, there's a lot of the old school ones. I remember there was some of the guys when I first started watching, I haven't seen for ages. What's his name? What's the guy in Hawaii?
Joey Rocha.
Joey.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, his whole world was in that, wasn't it? He was
for a bit
homeschooling and stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Is that right?
But he probably still thinks the Earth is flat, but he has moved on. So for him, it seems like it was a time, but there's sometimes you see these cracks. So he had, when you're flat earther, they have the whole package, right? Jet fuel hoax is super common. Chemtrails is super common. They're almost always an anti-vaxxer. A lot of the time they're like, these mountains are actually ancient trees. They tend to be thinking that there was, 1,000 years of history lost, right? All these things. It's almost a requirement to be a flat earther, because flat earthers at the end of all that process. But he had started to reject some of those things. He had given up, and he was going against people that were talking about Mandela effect and talking against people that were talking about jet fuel stuff. And then after that, he kind of faded out. So I think it's, for him, it was a temporary thing, and now it's less of a part of his life. He's got a family. a great wife, some fantastic kids, and I think he's enjoying having them be more important for him.
Well, that's good to know. As much as 'cause I never really engage with anyone like him, but like I always want them to come out of it, pretty much no matter what. I mean, I asked you this before, like, but for the sake of the audience, like, I'll ask again: which out of all the flat earthers, if they were to come to you and say, "Toon, do you know what? You were right. I was wrong. I feel a bit silly. I apologise for any grief I've caused." Which ones would you not accept that apology?
Well, when you put it that way, maybe I would accept almost any, but there's kind of there's a list. There's a spectrum of how horrible some flat earthers are. And so I would say that there are certainly some flat earthers that aren't just, rude and offensive and vile to people in general, myself. It doesn't matter if it's to me or not. That I would say, you know what, you're such a horrible person that I hope you never escape flat earth, because you'll still be a horrible person. And I'd rather have that ominous cloud over you, since you're a horrible person. So there are some that I think, they're just too horrible that I wouldn't want them to actually escape, because it's like a tattoo on your forehead that says you're horrible. There's a book,
some, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a book by Neil Stevenson where people, when they committed crimes, would get a tattoo on their forehead. And so that there's this idea that it would kind of be interesting that if you were a flat earther, you'd get a tattoo there and it's there forever.
Yeah, there's a couple, like, I mean, one in particular, obviously, like that Simon Dan did a review of his book the other day. And more than anything else, like the one thing that should make you think this guy has no idea is his grammar. It's like you can't. I know they're not exactly the same skill, but I just sort of feel like if you're capable of working out that the Earth is flat, when it against and understanding just how everyone else has been tricked into thinking it's a globe, you should understand the use of a comma as well.
It is interesting.
They're not actually the same.
It's not, but when you're like thinking that you're presenting the knowledge that all the smart people missed, you have that secret knowledge, and you can't figure out the basics of grammar at a 10-year-old level. Like, it's telling. It's not a mandatory thing, and certainly you're going to find people that struggle with communication that are very, very smart. Yes, but they can get assistance so that when they get some writing, it's not terrible. Yeah, it's telling. It's very telling. That book, it's childish in its presentation.
I mean, I can tell it's going to be childish straight away because he is very sort of. There's a term called like king baby syndrome, where people freeze at this sort of a point in their life, and they're literally sort of acting like a whatever age they seem to have frozen in time at. Like they might even go back and regress a little bit. And when he just sits there, extremely spitefully, just like. He kind of reminds me of what's the guy out of Tom Cruise plays in?
He plays in a lot of
Grossman from Tropic Thunder. Like it's like he wants to be him. It's like he the way he acts, like the domineering sort of way. He sees himself as that sort of the CEO of Flat Earth.
Yes, he certainly does. Somebody is saying maybe it's the Peter Pan complex.
Quite possibly, yeah. There's probably a few different terms for it. Where do you sort of like? What's your opinion on the difference between when people are in a mental state where they're susceptible to something like flat Earth, compared to it being an actual mental illness? Because I've often wondered and I've actually looked into some, like I've deep dived into some particularly interesting characters to give myself a bit more dimensions for when I play Brian this time round. Like, this is going to be the most in-depth version of Brian I've ever actually sort of explored as an actor. I didn't do this before, and some of the people I've been studying are like, Brian's not like this, but I've got an idea for a sequel where he might end up. You know, it depends on how it finishes. People like Unabomber, who they get really twisted, and they're. You know much about Unabomber, where he did all his crimes remotely, and he had an ideology as well. He was doing it based on an ideology, and like just how much of his actual circumstances was mental illness compared to like a trait.
Yeah.
What point do you think flat Earth does that stand out to you in any way, with any particular flat earthers, where you think some of them are just this way inclined, they've got a mental trait that makes them susceptible to this sort of thing, and some of them are actually experiencing degrees of psychosis?
I think that coming into flat Earth, let me answer that by saying this. There are certainly a lot of people that are mentally ill that are susceptible to it. And we see that. We see a lot that they're not the big names, but you can tell these people are, in decades past would have been housed in an asylum against their will. But I don't think that's the case for the ones that are the big name leadership. They have a different type of mental state, but I think that for the most part, they do have some characteristics. You see a lot of narcissism. You see, giant egos. You see people that I think were hurt in their formative years by not fulfilling something and not having some sort of affirmation that they needed, that we all need that, right? We all need to feel like we have meaning and use. And I think a lot of people lack that, and then it affects their character. And then when they discover flat Earth, well, then it flowers, and that problem that they had gets bigger, and then they get that feedback, and it's cyclical, right? They get that little bit, that kick that they never had before. And now, if I do that again, I get more. And so they're never going to stop, because then what? Then they would miss that. But also, because flat Earth tends to sever ties with family and friends, they're ostracized from all those people. So if they quit, then what? They don't have that platform. They don't have any family and friends to go back to. And for the ones that are making money on it, there's their income, right? It's a big drawback for them to escape. And that's why so many have, the big names don't, right? There are exceptions. Jaren did, but Jaren had a couple things set up ahead of time before. He had already been getting attacked by flat earthers. So he had already been attacked by the flat earthers. And so he didn't have this big need from them to stick with it. He had enough family and social interactions that he didn't need to, replace that hole, right? The flat Earth wasn't filling it completely. And then he had enough of a monetary independence that he didn't have to continue with it in order to make ends meet. He also had, I think, a little bit of a too much of an idea that people would come with him and that he could continue to make money if he had after he switched. That didn't turn out to be the case as much. It's been less lucrative for him. But if you look at the names that have gotten out, they all have some sort of a similar thing. They had already been not needing the social affirmation, the community, the finance from flat Earth when they did escape. So they were able to clearly evaluate the position.
Yeah. I mean, something you said before as well, like and you'll be one of the only people, probably yourself and the likes of Craig, who can really articulate this because you've witnessed it. Other people will be able to understand it, but like you said to me before, that you've seen them physically um, deteriorating over time, and obviously it can take a couple of years, or it could, it could happen when you're talking to some of them for sort of like, you know, 6, 7 years. I mean, have you had like family members of some of the flat earthers you spoke to, like, or friends, or like reach out and say any advice? And if so, what advice is there?
Yeah, I have had several times people contact me somehow and say, my brother or sister, or not sister, there's mostly guys, my somebody was on your show, and can we talk? And they're like, so then, yeah, sometimes it's, what do I do? Sometimes it's just they needed to talk to somebody that could relate, because
Get some light as well.
yeah, nobody else. Yeah. So it's like, what do we do? Thanksgiving doesn't happen. We can't have a normal Thanksgiving meal because he can't talk about anything else. But I've also seen that there are quite a few people in the community that watch the videos and engage and participate that do have family members that or acquaintances that did get into flat Earth. And that's how then they found the debunking side of it. And
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be the case that sometimes if they manage to stumble across debunking videos while they're learning about flat Earth, before it's like crystallized and really hardened, they've got a lot more of a chance. Like I remember Craig saying in the past, and Simon Dan and Katz have said it as well, that there has also been people that we've never heard of, but they've emailed them going like, "Oh, thanks for this. Like, I was actually thinking the Earth's flat, but now I've actually seen your video." So I don't, obviously it hadn't hardened quite to the same extent as it has for some people, in those people. And it must be, I mean, again, it's probably a lot easier to do that U-turn when when you haven't got 50 videos of yourself online going, yeah, I'm an adult, yeah, I think all this.
yeah,
um
very much.
yeah, I imagine once they're only halfway there, it's easier.
I have similarly, I've gotten messages from people saying, I used to think, or I was on the fence, or I was contemplating it, and because of not just mine necessarily, but because of the debunking community, I realized that was the wrong way to go about it, and that more than ever certain that the Earth is a globe, and glad that I didn't go down, because I've seen other people, and it's bad news.
Yeah. I've always liked the idea of trying to explore certain other types of conspiracists, but it's not really. I mean, it's not really compatible. The kind I want Brian's, where he's a nice, likable enough guy. I find it hard for him to, if he was to talk about denying certain events that happened in the 1940s, shall we say, or the false flag type stuff of certain and shootings. You can't make that a likable person.
Yeah.
I've got an idea for a sequel, even though this isn't made. Obviously, if this gets made, which now the crowdfunder is open, by the way, if anyone fancies dipping in there, the link's in the chat. If I was to make a sequel, I've got an idea towards the end of it where basically there's a sort of there's a fork in the road, and it's from an old film. I got this idea. Basically, I won't give too much away, but the audience gets the opportunity to go, "That's enough," and that'll be the end of the story. Whereas if you carry on watching it, it gets a bit worse for Brian, and then there's a post-credit scene, shall we say? And if everything was to go according to plan, I was to get to make that post-credit scene and get to make the sequel that follows on, it won't even be the same genre of film. I'll try and make it. It will still have some comedy, but it'll be a lot more. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to give a director's style and then frighten people.
Just leave it as nebulous. That's good.
Yeah, it would be more. It would explore the dark stuff more, like, but not in a way that you won't want to watch it because it's just But just it won't necessarily be. It won't be the difference between the Joker and then becoming a musical because I can't sing. But I would like to do something. The first one made and I go and do a sequel, I will take it into a completely different genre. But if either way, that will be. I'm not going to be really doing any more sketches. I don't think of Brian anymore because I've always wanted to make a piece of work that I can have as a portfolio piece. I'll make it in. I'm going to apply for festivals for this as well and take it on. I'd love to do Cannes, but it's thousands of pounds and they don't even necessarily pick you. And if you don't get picked, you still don't get the money back. You paid them like $2,500 just to watch you, to consider showing you. So, but I'll do this. I'll do the London Film Festival and things like that with this. So, fingers crossed. But after that, I don't really think I can aim for those levels and then still be doing little YouTube ones a bit on the side. I think it would end up kind of conflicting a bit. Should we stick on one of the other clips I've sent you?
Yeah. We've got 2 others, right?
Let's say something, sorry.
Let's see here. All right. I think I've got this one here where you're standing by the shore.
Let's do it.
All right.
Keep your hand like that in this position, otherwise known as the flat position. We're all agreed in this context that is flat, yeah? So if you just hold up your arm in line with the water line, at no point is there any curvature of the water line behind what you're seeing of your flat arm.
Just the grin at the end. Right here. That grin.
I started doing this to someone as a joke once, like just someone that I worked with him, but I just sort of thought it was really obvious that I was taking the piss because he knows my sense of humour anyway. But he starts sort of like, you can see there's a moment in his eye where he's a bit like, do I just tell him to shut up and laugh at him, or do I need to is this like an intervention where I might need to get hold of some of his friends and go, is he all right? Or speak to the boss about it. And I'm like, 5 minutes going past talking about it and just thinking like, is he going to correct me any minute now? Is he at any point, is he actually going to crack? And then eventually I couldn't help it any longer. But
yeah, the flat position. I liked how the camera then had to shift to get it to line up with the horizon.
Yeah,
that was good. All right,
I'll make it fit what we're trying to say. That's it.
Yeah. There's another one. Do you want to?
Yeah, let's stick that one on. Yeah.
All right, hold on. All right, here we go. It's you talking to the guy on the street. Here we go.
Will always find its level, and a way that I can prove that, this is literally an object called but if you didn't know, this is called a level. Yeah. People use it in construction and stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
If you see the flat horizon,
yeah,
and we marry that up, and I adjust it to fit what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I'd say that that's proof, don't you?
He's instructing the other guy on how construction workers work with a little mini level, because that's what they use in construction work.
Oh, I've got another one for the. I've literally just found like a little.
Oh, perfect
pocket one, just in case I need to make sure that every inch by inch of the earth is flat.
Yeah,
I can just really go around. I got this as well, right? I got this for the props. It's crap. Honestly, it's like it just comes apart like that. I think someone's just 3D printed.
Yeah, I have the same one. Somebody sent it to me. I forgot who. Thank you to whoever sent it to me.
It was 20 quid.
Oh, you paid for it. I got it for free.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just, I've been putting money into the props and stuff like that. So, yeah, it hurt a little bit, to be honest. I thought about buying a couple of Flat Earth books, and I'm like, not just to have them on the back. I'll just make it look like I'm reading something. Maybe I'll copy the cover or something, make my own cover up or whatever. But, yeah, that was... And that affects your algorithm as well, because now I start getting suggested things. Like things based on what you bought in the past, you might also like lizard people detector. Not literally.
There's ghost detectors.
Of course there is.
Yep. They're just actually electromagnetism sensors. That's all it is. But they don't know. They're just super hypersensitive, so almost anything makes it go off.
They seem to be like, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but like they seem to be a completely different sort of set of delusions. Because I don't tend to see their content crossing over. I don't tend to see like those ghost hunters on TV also going on about conspiracies. They tend to be supernatural. They might also believe in poltergeists and paranormal activity and possibly aliens, but there seems to be a difference. What do you say to that? Do you think that's...
I think there are some that are incompatible. So like the ones that obviously the ones that think that there's aliens and that there's an alien moon base and aliens on Mars, right? Obviously they're not compatible with flat Earth, right? But yeah, the ghost people, the people that think that there's ghosts, I don't know if it's incompatible. I just think that there isn't much of an overlap on the Venn diagram.
No, I don't know if it's coincidence though, or yeah, maybe there's something. I'd like to know what they think of flat Earth and things like that though, because it's like, come on, you've got no evidence for your shit as well. Like, sorry for, you've got no evidence for your, what you're saying is, or the claims you're making are just as ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what people think about aliens in general.
They're not
plausible, but
incompatible. But for some reason, they just don't seem to catch the same audience. Maybe there is, and we just don't know because there's rarely an overlap.
Anyone in the comments, like, can you think of anyone that we're missing that actually is like that, that's very into both? I can't say I've ever come across one.
Well, we've got somebody in the comments that says, I believe in goats. GOATS. So there's that. Somebody's asking if you're related to Alan Parsons and his project.
No, but I think we're all probably. I'll say yes. Yeah.
We all are, in our hearts.
Probably somewhere along the line. Yeah, it's quite a common. It's not so much. Yeah, it's quite a common name in Britain. It's not quite Smith or Johnson, but it's quite. Yeah.
Okay, so with the fundraiser, this is on Kickstarter,
yeah,
and
just gone live.
Yeah, so
able to be interesting.
Yeah, just as the intro music was playing, he hit the go live button, so it's just now starting. That's the idea, is that we get a bunch of people. Initially, I'll go and after we're done here, kick some your way, and the more the thing is, the more people that do a little bit right now, the more that it moves up in Kickstarter. So when people are on Kickstarter, they get a little more exposure to it. So if you all are interested in this type of mockumentary, then do hit that link there. Help him out. It doesn't help me. Help out Steve, and I'd love to see this be to get all the funding you need.
Thank you. I mean, I'm putting some of my own money in as well. I'm not expecting. I don't like the idea of just asking people to pay for my film for me, but the more I get, the more I can do. I've got a version I've got a version that I can make without hitting the crowdfunding target, and I've got a version I can make with hitting the crowdfunding target, because it's not flexible funding these days. If you don't hit the target, you just don't get anything.
Oh,
So, and like you said, so the more people, it's got an out. It's like any other platform. It's got its own algorithm. So the more people that are clicking on it now, even if it's just a few quid, there are some quite nice perks in there, including signed posters, things like that, like shout outs. If someone wanted to be executive producer, you can be. You just got to you got to do the job of an executive producer, and it's quite a substantial one, which I was a bit surprised about. But everyone does it apparently. Puts in an executive producer credit that you can do, or say if someone's got a business they want to be the sponsor, they can do that as well.
I suppose if people have
like any other platforms,
if people have a pizza restaurant, for example, that might be it.
Yeah.
Right?
Admittedly, it won't be as viable to them, because if you've got a pizza place in Massachusetts, there's no, you're not, what's the chances you're not really going to get your return on investment? But say someone had an online product or whatever, a book or something, or a VPN is what everyone else is getting these days, aren't they? But yeah, like the more attention it gets in the first 48 hours, it'll then be pushed up on Kickstarter's one. And if that was to happen, it's pretty much done. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of other films most films are. Kickstarter actually pushed back on me for quite a bit. They kept on sending it back, going, the campaign's fine, but are you sure? They made me put the price up. At first, it was only going to be. I was only going to ask for 1,800, but they were like a couple of things, platform fees, and you need to have some sort of contingency funds. And I had to actually persuade them that, like, look, I've got my own money as well, so this is sort of half the money that I need. And eventually they were like, because they were basically like, you can't make a feature film for £2,000. So I was like, well, I can, and I will. It'll be 4,000 in total, I think.
Okay.
Or like I say, there's a version of it that's that I'll be able to do without getting any funding. But the more attention that it gets now, and the more sort of little pledges and whatnot, the more it gets pushed up. And if there are just people that peruse those websites that like the idea of investing in films, and I've got my pitch video on there and the crowdfunded clips on there myself. So if it gets pushed up on the platform, I think it'll just happen pretty quickly. But yeah, like I say, there's something's happening regardless. One of the scenes, I don't want to give too many of the sort of fun parts of the films away, but I've already been down to scout the location. I've got a video of me doing it. Is an escape room, because I quite like the idea of a flat earther being put in an escape room, thinking this is going to be easy.
It's going to be easy. Of course, they figured out how to escape.
Well, he tries to think too much outside the box, and is basically sort of, I've been down to the actual escape rooms, and turns out there was like a nuclear bunker version. One of the actual puzzle rooms you can do is a nuclear bunker where there's a nuclear warhead about to hit Brighton, and you've got to do something in a little room to escape and somehow stop this missile from coming to Brighton. But I just thought, nuclear bunker, flat earther thinking he can get out of there. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So
I like that.
Yeah, that's something that's what the money's going for. Like this time, I've got the videographer who's a new guy from what I used before. He's also a mockumentary artist, so he also does mockumentary. He understands the tone and the pacing and the cadence of mockumentary, and he's a mockumentary actor as well. And he just absolutely knows exactly the beats that I'm trying to hit with the show, and I'm really excited about working with him. He's hungry. He's a cool guy. He's a funny guy as well. He's a comedian. And a sound recordist was before we did a lot of things on lapel mic, so we were a bit limited in, like, I couldn't have a shot of Brian, over in the distance doing something quite as easily. Whereas now I can. I mean, you can if you got like a remote one, but do you know what I mean? I've got more freedom to get the sound. If two people are talking now, they can be sort of further apart, and we can pick them both up, and so it's a lot more It came out well before. Don't get me wrong, I've never been disappointed with the previous production, but yeah. So the money is going into basically about 75% of it is just I'm paying for crew and other people. I've got a few actors that I'm paying. I'm auditioning for. One guy that I'm really excited about this collaboration. He's actually a doctor of social sciences, of a social science, and he's written a book about why we share stuff online, and basically people's sort of. He's not really he doesn't talk about the conventional dangers that everyone else sort of considers. He means he investigates the dangers of the long-lasting effects of what people do online, and he doesn't even mean like as much our generation or the generation below or older than us. Imagine if you're growing up now, like if you're a digital kid,
Yeah.
and when you're 12, 13, you're putting these things online, and then someone uses them later, and just how that's gonna affect society. And just why people even do it in the first place. Like I've never really understood the average person. I get it if you're running a business or you've got an information website, or say you know what you do is a show, for example. You know, you're presenting all the time, so you've got an audience you're talking to. But people who just get their video and their camera, turn it on themselves, give their opinion on whatever issue they don't really know a lot about, but they're just repeating their favourite content creators' words, and then they record it, and then they look at it and think to themselves, other people might want to see this, and they post it. No one. You don't really have a. Why would I want to see that? Like you're not really creating anything. It's a funny time, isn't it? I've always say, as you know, I've always taken the sort of tongue-in-cheek approach to flat earthers.
Yeah.
Like, I've always had the sort of, if I was to sum up my attitude towards them in one go, it's give them a hug where you can. Like, you know, if you meet one in real life, not the grifters, but just if you do meet someone that says, yeah, no, I fully think the Earth's flat, just no words, just give them a cuddle and just give them a little. It's going to be all right. Do you want a cup of tea?
I surprised Mikey Smith a couple weeks ago when he was on the streets of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. He didn't know I was coming, and I showed up there with Astrocade, and he's like, "Give me a hug," and we did.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like I've said before. No conversation has ever gone like this. You're a complete idiot, and then the person reply with, "Do you know what? I never thought of it like that. Thanks very much. I'll pack my kit up and I'll call it a day."
You're right, but
I mean, some of them are too far gone.
But let's be honest.
I think of
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes people need to be told.
Sorry?
Sometimes people need to be told. Like,
I'm getting told off. I'm more thinking of the people that are watching, that are lurking, you know, that are getting affected by it.
Yeah.
I just. Yeah, they do need a bit of. I remember an old colleague started coming out of it once, and people did have to sort of ridicule it out of him, and that's the importance of the sounding board. But I think poking fun at those people rather than sort of isolating them and ostracizing them is because sometimes when I look at a debunker, I think to myself, okay, what is your goal here? Are you trying to be right, or do you want that person to change their mind? Are you trying to actually change their mind?
Never my goal.
Huh?
It's never my goal to try to change their mind. It's always trying to give basically an object lesson so somebody else might see that and say, oh my goodness, that flat earther is ridiculous. He's asked for something, he can't give it. He's asked for something, he can't give it. He keeps changing the topic. I don't care about they're just the object lesson so that somebody else might see that and say, no, I will never fall into that.
That's a better way to put it. Changing minds in general. Like, is it a case of it's when people just go at people without any facts. I suppose that's probably the tell sign for me. It's when I see people trying to debunk them, but they're just insulting, and it's like without actually adding any sort of context. I know some of them you're never going to, especially not live. You're not going to ever really, in a live stream, actually have someone go, "Yeah, do you know what? You were right there." They might think about it later, and I think as long as a sort of point can be put to them in the context that they might actually be able to think it through later, rather than just feeling sort of, because you know what people do, they just double down, don't they? They just protect themselves a bit more, and then they won't engage, and then there's less opportunity to actually sort of get any of the lurkers and the people that are following them out of it. But I just sort of have the opinion that as long as there's facts in there as well, rather than just sort of like, are people just trying to put them down, or are they actually try and present them as to why they're horribly, horribly wrong? I mean, I say all this, but I have dedicated quite a lot of my time to taking the piss out of them as well. So what do I know?
It is. I mean, it's an easy target. Let's be honest. There are probably topics that require more nuance, and this one is pretty easy to take the piss and laugh at.
You can't really get to those nuances on even a 2 hour live debate, can you? You can't really, because they're there defending their part.
Yeah.
They're not, yeah, like I said, they're not going to live change their mind. They're there to win the argument, aren't they? I mean,
well, I think everybody entering into a debate, that's their goal. They have a position, and it should be to defend that position, and not that. That's why it's never my goal to try to sway them. It's to sway the audience.
Yeah, it's a persuasive argument. I suppose that's the difference in what I'm, when I look at certain. I mean, there's certain people that used to do debunking videos that don't do them anymore, that I'm thinking of, really, that just they just sort of like the idea of I don't know. I think it is a lot of, it depends how it's done, and there is that nuance which you just can't get across to people in a 2-3 hour debate, and they're not willing to. They're not really coming there asking for help, are they?
No.
I mean,
and by the time, even if they're new, by the time somebody has gotten to the point where they are publicly saying that either they think the earth is flat, or even if they're to the point where they're saying, I'm on the fence. There's nobody on the fence. If you're publicly saying you're on the fence, you're a flat earther. If you say you don't know what shape the earth is, you're a flat earther. You just haven't gotten to the point where you're going to say it. Or some flat earthers get past that, where they realize there's no evidence for flat earth. If they make a claim about flat earth, they know the reasonable expectation is that they need to support their claim. And so they're like, don't make any claims. Like, well, that's just admitting that flat earth is wrong, right? But anyway, the point is, once they're to that position, they've already made up their mind. They already are past. They're committed, because you could silently watch things. You could talk to people, trusted friends, and say things, and then get some pushback or whatever. But if you're out there in general YouTube, Facebook, TikTok land, in the comments section, you're gone. You've crossed the line.
Yeah, I mean, there was. I think I said this to you a few months ago as well. There's some people. I know it's never a fair fight, but some of these people, they're so new to it. They might have been doing it for like 6 months, and then they rock up to yourself or Craig or against Simon Dan, and they're full of confidence, and they're just like, do you know what? I'm going to win this one. And you guys have got like. You've probably defended, you've probably refuted each of their claims, individual claims, dozens of times per claim, and they're coming along thinking, I can win this, and it's never fair, because they're just ultimately they can't. It's not subjective, is it? There's not a middle ground scenario. You're not going to go, yeah, it's yeah.
No, it's not fair. I cheat I make them take the wrong position.
Yeah, and you're just more experienced at debating now as well, isn't it? So that it's so easy
Yeah.
to just.
Well, but they make up for experience with falsely placed confidence.
Yeah, I'm thinking of one in particular, and I'm pretty confident it was his wife that was actually the driving force behind it. She was like, no, you go on there and you go and tell that British dude, it was the Craig, like, you go and tell that British fella that he's wrong. And because she kept piping up in the background, she kept on just jumping in and sort of.
Who was this? It was this recent?
I think he was Mr. Trump-tastic or something like that.
Oh, I didn't see that.
You didn't miss that much. It was just, it was quite a. You could you could just tell that he didn't. He was one of those people who didn't really. He didn't understand what intelligence sounds like. Some people at least they can go. Oh, I'm not particularly smart, but I know that guy is because I can work out where he's stuck. Where my gaps are compared to his. But it's like she had more confidence than him, but she was just that sort of. What there was? I swear there was a TV show like that, or was it Roseanne or something like that, where there was a character just in the background that you never. No, it was the Tim Allen show, the Home Improvement show.
Yeah,
where you only ever saw Winston across
the guy over the fence.
Yeah, across the fence.
Yeah,
it was like every now and again Winston would come along and just be like, "Yeah." It was like that. You could never see. You could never see anything else of her, but she was basically puppeteering the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, maybe I will have to watch that. That she's off clucking in the background, telling him what to say. Nice.
Oh, they're both completely. They had that whole set, the Anunnaki, the lizard people, the NWO, and a whole array of different
all of the different
things I could say
groups that are the puppet masters, even though the different groups hate each other and wouldn't be compatible with each other, they're all together in it still somehow.
Yeah well it's convenient, isn't it? Like sometimes I just think they like a good story,
Yeah. And no different than going to the movies. You have the suspension of disbelief. You don't require when watching the Blofeld 007 that how could he have gotten that much money? How could he have built that gigantic structure within the volcano crater, and right? How did all that get? Nobody would have noticed that. Of course, people have noticed that, and it's super remote. And how did you get the suspension of disbelief? So they'll suspend their disbelief about that. The people that are world leaders are actually gigantic, egotistical people that won't let anybody tell them what to do anyway. And so there wouldn't be a puppet master that could tell them what to do, because in order to be those types of people, you got to be like, hell no, you're not telling me what to do.
Have you seen that? It's a comedy show. It got cancelled after one season, but it is basically, it's not quite a mockumentary, but it's a comedy about a bunch of people who work in the deep state's office. Basically, they were all just like as if there was an actual underground office where they all had to coordinate flat Earth, the moon landing, and all that sort of thing. Like I stumbled across it because I had the idea. And I thought, well, I've got to see if this exists. And yeah, I was going to do it a little bit more mundane and British. It's American. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, it's an American sitcom. It got cancelled after like one series. The premise is quite good. But I've always thought to myself, I like the idea of trying to actually work out what it would take to put this firmament up there. There would be a lot of admin. Like, who sorts out the infrastructure for the people that maintain it and keeps them in supply of food and toiletries and whatnot?
Well, who keeps who guards the 60,000 mile long ice wall? Well, how many Warcraft ships are there? Warships, not Warcraft. right? How many ships are along the perimeter in order to police those waters, that to prevent people from going there? That they're the flat earthers' suspension of disbelief is that there has to be massive numbers, because the size of the ice wall is 60,000 miles. How are they going to police it? They're like, if you go there, they're going to arrest you. How are they going to do that?
And who's being arrested? Who have you spoke to that's tried to go there and gone, you never guess what, Bill? You were right. I went to Antarctica. I didn't believe you either. But, yeah, they arrested me straight away. All I wanted to do was go and have a look at the ice fall, and they were like, no, government secrets, turn around.
Somebody says, was the TV show Inside Job? I think that's what that might be. If anybody knows,
I feel like it began with an I.
Oh, it's 1 out of 26 there.
I think it was, yeah. I've got a feeling it was. It'll be quite easy to find. I think it was on like, I think it was the days when anyone could upload to Amazon. But I think it was made by a proper studio, but I think it was the days when anyone could upload to Amazon, just like you can on Spotify. And I think it just got, swept away in that tidal wave of other films. But I like the idea. I just don't think they nailed. Just like the impression I get from reading the reviews, they didn't quite nail the premise. It was, I don't know, maybe it was just for a different audience. But I like the idea of making it so boring, like admin boring, like actual day to day in the office sort of boring.
Oh yeah, there'd have to be there'd have to be a lot of logistics in doing that, because you'd have to train. The training that goes through for many different industries would surveying. Surveyors, there's the surveying book, right here. Surveyors are taught how to do things using the globe. And so you'd have to get through all of that training, and then somebody's going to have to come and tap them on the shoulder and say, psst, we're going to teach you the real stuff so that you can now become part of hiding it, because you can't do the actual surveying work using the globe, because it's not right. You have to do it the right way. And then here's how you hide it. So you need to go and take these people, not written in books, right? In person somehow, somewhere, in some way, to teach them how to cover it up. So you need all the logistics, not just for surveying, for cartography, for aircraft flight routes, for how airplanes work, because they need to go significantly farther and faster. So, everybody that launches rockets and satellites, all that has to be somehow, right? The number of different fields that now have to have somebody tapping on the shoulder saying, here's the real way to do it, is massive. And so, yeah, that would be pretty boring in reality, because, you're like, oh, here's the 17 people graduating from this university that we're going to have to go train.
Well, imagine the recruitment department. You've got to get people from birth in order to actually deliver what they're saying gets delivered. You've got to get a bunch of people that are willing to never, ever, ever, including in their final moments on their deathbed, never just turn to their kids and go, third drawer on the left in my office, there's a file. If you take that to the newspapers, you'll get billions.
Yeah.
No one's ever done that. And yeah, I mean, this is why you've got to be so far down to get to flat Earth, haven't you? I mean, I used to think, as I said before, it was the last conspiracy on the shelf, but it's the keystone into, once you can, but they've got it the other way around. They seem to think like, once you understand flat Earth, your mind opens. No, once you think you understand flat Earth, your mind's it's susceptible to anything. Like after that,
I think it's because it really does cross into the supernatural. Right, it's not possible for the sun to set on if the Earth is flat, and so it has to be magic or supernatural that causes that to happen, and so other conspiracies of some president was assassinated by nefarious people within the government instead of by a loner that was, mad at the world, right? That doesn't violate the laws of physics, and a whole lot of other things don't. But when you cross the line into breaking physics, then you can say, oh, well, it is possible that they're shape-shifting lizards because you've already, granted the impossibility of the sun setting.
Press something, and now I'm getting more.
Having a tech issue.
I pressed something. That was it. Right. Oh yeah, I've got these.
Oh yes, you showed me some of the pictures of that.
Yeah, I showed because I did a little live stream last night for, pretty much for Rob, Rob Slide, legend, and a couple of other people turned up, Alex, and a few other people. But yeah, I showed them. For people who don't know, I've decided to make, because I see a lot of flat Earth. I see a lot of similarities with flat Earth in a lot of online cultures, and just people can monetize anything now. Like they've monetized addiction, trauma, neurodivergence, and do you know what I mean? I know some people are looking for communities and that, so I can't knock the overall, idea. But then people, I can also see the difference between when some of the people that are just like, there's people in recovery circles that are just basically you can't get clean without using their method, and so they monetize things that really shouldn't be monetized.
Yeah,
I'm not actually against people making money from curing people or helping people, but the idea that telling people they can't do it without their method and things like that, there's still, it opens a door for nefarious people, and that just happens across everything. Everyone's monetized a different cause, a different faction, and it annoys me. So I made a card game about it called Culture Wars: The Internet's Guide to the Galaxy. Some people have got annoyed already, which was the exact answer I was expecting, because there's a disclaimer on the box actually that says this game contains satire directed at multiple factions. If you believe your faction is exempt, please consult a mirror. May offend people who have fused their identity with an ideology. And yeah, basically, if you get upset with these, then that's probably, you're probably the card, basically. But I've got things like the deep state, climate doomer, chronically online, podcaster.
The backwards hat.
I had to do a flat earther, of course, and I made it.
That's you.
Yeah. That one's the one that annoyed people, but I'd rather people saw that later. But the great thing about when people get upset with it is I screenshot what they've said, and I'll get to use that as advertising material, which is nice. That one's very similar to a particular grifter that I can't stand. She was married to Brad Pitt in real life.
Who was married to Brad Pitt?
That's one of my favourites as well. Career activist. I do like that one. And then where is it? Bad wife. People like that one. Rubbish card, but people like that one. Little bit like someone who famously owns quite a few companies.
Yeah, you're thinking of Iron Man.
And then we've got debunkers.
That's me. Hold on, I got my cube right here.
Yep.
It's see-through. Look at that.
How quickly can you do it now?
I haven't actually done it for a while. So I'm not very fast. And sometimes I get to a part where I'm like, what's the next one? And I forget because I'm out of practice. So I don't know, probably not the time to be showing off how slow I do it right now. I'll do one
I'll
side.
never forget that guy who got really angry with you because you just started doing it straight away.
Yeah.
The guy from Manchester. He was brilliant. But he was a good example of someone who's. Well, I don't reckon he probably, if I had to guess, can't do up his shoelaces. Yet he thinks that the telephone towers are trying to destroy mankind.
Yeah.
That should be a rule, isn't it? You won't debate anyone that's wearing Velcro.
I'll only debate them if their mom brings them Hot Pockets while I'm talking to them. Okay, I got white.
Have you ever found one that you felt really sorry for?
Oh yeah. There's some. More of the ones that are actually mentally challenged, because Flat Earth is just so just captures the people that are mentally challenged. And there's a lot. There's a significantly, disproportionately large number of flat earthers that are actually mentally challenged. I'll say John Puckett, for example, but he's so vile that it's hard to feel bad for him, because he's just such a horrible person on top of it, right? He would definitely be involuntarily housed in decades past. Another one that's from the UK, Victor Crute. He's not right. He has been in a home similar to John Puckett. He has had professional care. And so that's what's challenging. Like, they are not swaying people online. They're so bad. They're so offensive, or they're just so dumb in their positions that they're not swaying people. So it's not a risk of them going on and like spreading flat earth. But there's people like Jim Jones and David Koresh and the Heaven's Gate people that have gotten people to follow their conspiracy stuff, and it's worked out for the worst. So when Heaven's Gate, yeah.
Is that?
It was a cult in the United States.
True?
It was a cult in the United States where they thought that a meteor had a spaceship behind it, and that the way to get on the spaceship was they all had to kill themselves. And they did. Right. So it does have that kind of consequence in some instances. So will Victor Crute be the one? Well, no, he's too dumb. But are there other people? Yeah, they're in 2018. There was Mark Braun, and he had a guy, Devin Maggi, that were trying to bring together as many flat earthers as possible to go to the North Pole, to like charter a plane to get dropped off at the North Pole so that they could use the Spear of Destiny that Mark Braun said he had to then enable them.
Hang on. It's just, did I hear you right there? The Spear of Destiny.
Yes.
What did it look like?
The Spear of Destiny is the spear that pierced Jesus' side on the cross, right? He thinks he actually has that real spear, and that, of course, yeah. And then they're going to go to the North Pole. They're going to use the spear is what they need, is the key to cross this bridge. And then on the other side of the bridge, all of them get to fling themselves into, quote, the lake of fire, unquote, which is the gateway to Hyperborea, their eternity paradise. And what would have, if that had happened, they would have one-way trip gone to the North Pole, unprepared, been dropped off and left. Now, would somebody actually have done that? Would you charter a plane, like, drop us off? Probably would be difficult to get. Maybe would be difficult.
Things have happened in the past.
True, but let's say that they figure that out and they get dropped off there. What's going to happen? They all die. He wanted 18,000 because of what's in the Book of Revelation. He wanted 18,000 people to go with him. That would have been 18,000 dead people.
I mean, it sounds far-fetched, but like obviously Manson got people to do their thing, and you know the phrase the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
I worry. I mean, I won't mention the name of the cult because I don't necessarily. It's they're a really dark one. I don't want you to get YouTube to flag it up. But there's a cult in I think based in America, and they're named after where they're from, or the area code. And they're just anarchists. All they do is encourage people that are obviously got something, they're lost anyway, or they're susceptible or isolated from them. They encourage them to put themselves in compromising positions, get evidence, and then sort of puppet master to their life to go on like, right, you got to do this, or I'm exposing this, or you got to do that, some of the consequences that have come out of it have been as bad as you can think. Because they're decentralized though, and they're so there's no one. They don't even have an ideology. They're just let's mess things up. Let's just get people to do horrible things, and then they get to sort of walk away scot-free. A lot of it, I think, is teenage edgelord type behaviour at first, but there are adults in it as well that have just got that same mentality, and they literally just prey on people and find people that are. I assume they probably find them from sort of conspiracy chat rooms anyway, people who are looking for answers, and they go, they befriend them at first, and then they get them to do certain things that are life changing, and you just think there are some people that just do it for a bit of fun as well. Like, I always used to think there was an ideal, at least there was, as long as they were, at least there's they've got to them a coherent ideology in searching for the flat Earth or disproving the moon landing, or to them they're on a quest. The ones that think that they're on a quest, but it turns out there are people that just do it for the sake of anarchy, and that they'll prey on people, and yeah, I mean, the spear of destiny though, that's your first clue, isn't it?
He's not kidding. He's still around today.
Oh,
Mark.
Okay,
he's Florida man.
Oh right, I thought you meant
he's literally a plumber from Florida. The name of his channel is like Satan the Plumber, something like that. He also thinks that he's Satan. Yep, yeah, because why not? So yeah.
Do you have any clips of these TikTok flirts or anything that we could just have a little? Have you got some favourites that have been doing the rounds lately?
Of the TikTok, I don't do a ton on TikTok right now. It's such a cesspool that you're either in or out. And right now I'm not. But I don't have TikTok. I have others. But you know what I'm doing right now is I'm bringing up your Kickstarter. Before we go to that, why don't we talk about your Kickstarter quick? Here it is on screen right now. The conspiracy of anything. You don't have to believe in a conspiracy. You just have to belong to one. That is just all too true. You got 356 US dollars right now so far for backers.
Thank you very much, everyone.
So it just started, and that's pretty good to this crew probably right now.
For that, I hadn't checked. I wanted to sort of, take my do it off. We got off, but that's brilliant. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. The anything in the title is not actually quite as I've had people. I've got flyers and stuff like this. I've been handing them out locally, and people have gone like, it's not all just about believing in any conspiracy. It's literally about believing in any conspiracy, not anything as in he wants to believe all of them. It's just anyone that makes him feel, like he's got purpose in life.
Yeah.
And I hope it resonates a bit. I mean, I had a lot of nice compliments on the first on the pilot. I mean, not everyone's going to like everything. Of course they're not. Otherwise, it wouldn't be worth trying. But yeah, it seemed to. If you like deadpan mockumentary, especially, people tend to like what I do. It's not so much American Office with Michael Scott. It's more sort of Spinal Tap type tone with the. As you know, there's some.
Oh yeah,
to the audience. Really.
it goes to 11, but you've just painted an 11 on there. But it goes to 11. Can you can hear it playing right now. I don't hear anything. Well, I can. Because his ears are ringing. You see, because he's a... Anyway.
Yeah, I was surprised to find out it's American, isn't it? Spinal Tap, even though it's about a British band.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of a...
I thought it was British.
It's kind of a Led Zeppelin-esque band going across the United States. He even gets the violin bow to play the guitar, but he's playing it with his feet, I think, if I remember right. He's got the violin bow in his feet, and he's like using his foot to play the violin bow against a guitar that's sitting on the stage while he's got another guitar in his hand. And Zeppelin in early days had a violin bow for some of their stuff, so I think that's where it comes from.
It nailed it, yeah. I mean, because I didn't really, when I first watched it, I think I was like 15, and I didn't really get it. You know,
Yeah.
I was only young. I didn't really understand it, and I just had it in my head though that it was a British film, and then I bought the Blu-ray of it recently. About a year ago now. It's a bit aged, obviously. I think I can totally imagine if you were to grow up in the era of those kinds of rockers, you know, it would resonate a bit more with people. But I was just on the cusp of. I like obviously The Office, but have you heard of People Just Do Nothing?
People Just Do Nothing?
It's about just a bunch of there was a period in the UK where garage music. Do you have garage much over there? Do you particularly listen to it? Speed garage. It's sort of
Garage music?
I suppose it's a bit like drum and bass mixed with. It's its own thing, really. But frankly, it's quite easy to look at the people that do it and just think, you're a bunch of idiots. But they're not. I grew up around people like that. They're just funny. They're all right people, and they're not. You know, they're not you sort of yokels or anything like that. But they're in the show. I mean, it's like a British council estate. A bunch of lads who grew up being garage MCs doing pirate radio, and thinking that their 3 viewers they get on their radio audience somehow is going to mean that they're playing at Glastonbury in the future. But do you know what? They're actually pretty good MCs and pretty good musicians. So now they've actually become people. I think they've played at Glastonbury, but they played at a lot of big festivals in the UK off the back of it. But it's on Netflix. It's very. I suppose it's a sort of because it's a mockumentary about musical, like a generation of musical culture in the same way that Spinal Tap was. Like if people are into garage and sort of UK speed garage and drum and bass, they will find that funny. But it's a very British council estate sort of vernacular. And
so council estate is for Americans. Can you explain that?
the projects.
The projects. Yeah. So low income housing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they can be very wholesome. Like I grew up next to one. It's not like worlds apart, like sort of living like caravans or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to depict. But it's just sort of those concrete jungles. It's like the high rise buildings where everyone's just sort of playing street football and MCing and drinking and whatnot. Like there's nothing. It's a culture. It's not like it's not what's the word, class based necessarily. It's a culture. It's a culture thing.
Okay. Simon Dan asks if you know the South Coast well.
Pretty well. It's there. So
it's out as a window.
yeah.
I think Dan must know that you live near right off the coast.
I mean, do you remember when I told you about how I met Dave Murphy?
Yes, you got to tell everybody else though. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Again, so this is someone I actually feel a bit. I don't know what your previous is, so I'm not basing it on anything that I've seen him say or do in the past. But just based on what I do know, I do feel a little bit sorry for him. So, because I used to be a delivery rider, and I think I've frozen again. I know. I used to be a delivery rider, and he turns out he's a delivery rider as well. Like he does through the night, and I used to start really early. And I bumped into him one day, and I think he recognised me, to be honest. But he was perfectly polite. But there was another time I remember, because the first time you said to me, "I hope you didn't shake his hand," and I was like, "Oh, I did actually. I'm sure there's a story to go with this." And yeah, he washes his hands in piss, doesn't he?
Yeah.
His own piss.
Yep.
Okay, fine. And I remember one time we were at this big Sainsbury's, the supermarket, and I'm getting my order, putting it in my bag, and I'm like, smells like ammonia. Dave, how are you, mate? You all right? But like the guy's walking around stinking of urine, and all right, you know, he's literally pissed on himself here, like
On purpose.
Responsible for this.
On purpose. When he got sick, he had some sort of a something in his lungs, an infection or irritation or something in his lungs. He went to the doctor. The doctor gave him a nebulizer with the medicine. And so he goes home, and instead of putting the medicine in the nebulizer, he puts his own piss in the nebulizer. So he's breathing in piss mist and claiming that it made him better. Oh.
Yeah, it's.
Seriously.
I mean, he lives. Not that this is an excuse, but he lives. He lives in the sticks. Like he lives in the. It's not quite. There's a town there. There's a little village, but it doesn't have a train station, and it's which is kind of in our terms. If it doesn't have a train station, it's you can almost forgive the people that live there for not having a lot of contact with the outside world. I don't know. It seems to be. He lives. I won't give away where he lives necessarily, but it's West Sussex in the countryside, and he's on a farm as well, isn't he? Or
I don't know.
He's surrounded by farmland. And he only goes, he said to me, he likes going out at night. You know, he used to do the sort of 10 p.m. till 6 a.m. delivery shifts because he just likes being out on his own and things like that. It's like, I really don't think it's doing you any favours, if I'm honest, mate, spending this much time by yourself. But, you know, he was super polite, to be honest. I think he recognised me a bit. But
I see. Yeah, I can see him being polite. That's certainly certainly him.
Mild mannered, pleasant.
Yeah.
You know, I think he just thinks what he thinks, and that's it. He doesn't get upset with what people say. He just pisses on his own hands. We've all got our coping mechanisms.
That's his. Oh. Dan says, I'm not too far from there. I'd love to bump into him. Dan's covered him on his own videos a couple times.
On Dave's?
On Dave Murphy, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Does he still do stuff?
Dave Murphy? He was recently on Mark Sargent's show. So yes. But he's not doing a lot of new video content or anything like that. You know, what's he going to cover? I don't know.
Well, it's all been said and done, isn't it, now? What can they even... This is why they all the ones that think they're the real deal, like your Mark Sargents and your Eric Dubays. Like I saw your post today about someone claiming that they could get Eric Dubay to debate you, and you were just like... Absolutely, I want to debate Eric Dubay.
Yeah.
We've been trying for 8 years. he won't.
Yeah, I regularly get comments on my videos if I ever cover Dubai. Then people regularly comment saying, "Well, if you're going to do this, why don't you debate him? I challenge you to debate him." So I have a folder that is people challenging me to debate Dubai, and my answer is always the same: 100% yes. You go. You tell them I'm ready. They never answer. They never do. Or somebody.
Spoke to him.
No. Or somebody else will come along and say, "Oh, well, he's just too high up in his ivory tower to talk to somebody like you." Like, Dubé is up in his ivory tower and he thinks he wants to talk to Dubé says he wants to debate Neil deGrasse Tyson. Right? Now, Neil doesn't do debates, but Eric Dubé has said that he does debates since he wants to debate Tyson. So then why not debate other people? But the reality is that who is it that's a nobody in the realm trying to clout chase? Well, Dubé is trying to clout chase Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? I'm not. I have a significantly larger reach than Dubé does.
Well, that's probably why he's going for Dubé, to be honest. Dubé's going for Neil deGrasse Tyson because he knows he won't actually accept him for a debate, so he can sort of just go, well, I challenged him, and your top guy didn't want to have it with me, so that's proof, I'd say.
Yeah,
it's not when people go, and I put this in the pilot. Brian says I can't tell you how many times I've emailed Bill Gates and said to him Bill, I'm unhappy with the mass killings of all these people that your company and the fact that he won't even reply to my emails
that's proof.
Conclusive proof.
Yeah.
Some people actually do think of it like that, don't they? They're like, mate, you're not. He's busy.
He's not getting that email.
Yeah, he's not giving out his public emails.
Neil deGrasse Tyson does not know who Eric Dubé is.
Yeah.
But Eric knows who I am. I went to Antarctica. Eric was offered a free trip and didn't go.
Yeah, well, Joe Rogan knows what I saw you guys on mentioned on Rogan, weren't you?
Well, I don't think Rogan knows me, but no doubt Dubé does.
Yeah, I don't know if you did mention your name, admittedly, but yeah, I mean, it was that widely known though, where
yeah.
It's talked about on that. And
there's the documentary is still in the works, so hopefully yours doesn't take as long. Hopefully yours doesn't take as long as the TFE documentary.
No, this is happening. We're starting filming first week of September, actually.
All right, just a couple weeks.
Yeah, so confident am I that I'm making some version of this, regardless of whether I hit the crowdfunder. I'm already starting to. I've already booked in people, booked in the videographer, the sound recordist, the actors for. It's the main whole day of filming because I want the weather. I want the bright and sunshine weather, and we've been far too sunny to be honest. If I'm honest, all year we've had hardly any rain. But I want to catch it before we get to the autumn. I
want to be sure you're in England, and everybody knows that England is cloudy every day of the year. But the name of the town is Brighton. Is it actually? But it's never bright. What are we doing here?
Oh, it's been really all summer. It's been far too. We've had like 4 or 5 heat waves. We've got things are serious in Britain when there's a hosepipe ban. Like when you're not allowed to run a paddling pool in your back garden.
Oh,
that's when it's hit the fan.
A hosepipe ban.
Yeah, that's what
we say watering. A watering ban. Okay.
It's serious stuff. Like when you're not allowed to turn your sprinklers on. You're not allowed to have like a super soaker water fight. That's when it's really hit the fan. But yeah, I want to catch the summer because for all the outdoor things, and like I said about the new guy that I'm using for the videography. Like the reason it took so long before the pilot on its own was frankly collaborations that I now want to be completely dependent. I'm not dependent on anyone else, and this this guy I'm working with now, I've you know, what's the word? It's not quite auditioned, but had an interview process, and he's just like, yeah, let's go. You know, he's really into it. He's got suggestions for some of the script as well, and you know, I'm all about encouraging people to actually. I'm not precious about saying, oh no, I wrote it like this. This is how I want it. Someone's got a great idea, and he's very talented, you know, and he's just very into mockumentary rather than just someone who.
It's a style.
He's a lot faster.
It's a style he likes.
Yeah, he wants to get it done. We're going to get it done by. I can't see the filming going on beyond October, and
all right,
all the filming done, and it should only be a few days of editing because frankly, it's mockumentary. It's deliberately like that, but we're filming it. So even though it's like a mockumentary and it's a one camera setup in general. Imagine it in real life if an actual conspiracy theorist or say when they did a documentary about the manosphere and like those alpha male influencers, they filmed themselves while they were getting the documentary made about them because that's what they do to cover their backs and in their mind to protect themselves against unflattering editing and stuff. So the whole thing's going to be we've got a one camera setup. That's mockumentary style, handheld, shaky in parts deliberately. But then Brian's own live stream, or like he's filming his own version of the documentary that's being made about him. But what it allows is for those moments where Brian's going to bed at night on his own, and then you know he's folding his socks up and neatly, and you know flattening them out and whatnot. But then he's also talking to the camera about. You'll get a bit of subtext about how he really feels about himself and how he really feels about what's going on. You'll get the sort of conversations with a flat earther that you wonder they have with the mirror. Or you wonder if they have with the mirror, rather. So there's what he wants people to think he is, how he wants to be perceived, is how he's going to act towards the documentary crew, and then it's like his own private journal, because that's how some people operate these days, isn't it? That's what content's become for a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's a diary. It's I felt like this today. You know, I've seen videos of people just talking about how they didn't shower this morning and don't really feel like it later. I might have a banana if I'm feeling precocious. None of it. What? Why are you putting this online?
yeah. There's no shortage of people now that they just put everything online. Everything they do, they think that's a thing, and you know, if it was novel, then yeah. So the first people doing it maybe, but there's so many. There's just so many. Sitting in their car, some dumb idea that now it's online. Wow. Didn't need that.
Yeah, it's not. Other people are going to see this. Other people are going to remember this, and we all know Seek Truth, Speak Truth story when he came out of Flat Earth and how he had his friends taking the. I'm sure he won't mind me discussing it, given that he's publicised it anyway.
Yeah.
He discovered his friends had a WhatsApp group just to take the piss out of him because of the videos he was putting on. They were sharing it amongst themselves, and it's like. You know, all right. He wasn't the sort of dude who was. He was coming out of it anyway, wasn't he? He wasn't so heavily invested that he was. Well, I know he made his own videos about it, but
similar
for leaving them up though. To be honest,
he didn't have a financial requirement coming from Flat Earth, right? He didn't have it completely filling his social space, so he didn't need that. So he was free to think about it critically.
Yeah, it sounded from his account. I mean, I might be out of line putting it like this, but maybe it was almost like he was getting groomed at that time. Like I remember him talking about how he was getting like flattery messages from Eric Dubay, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
So it's like he was being
the
carefully groomed into accepting, you know, that this was the way it was. But I think he was keeping his mind open.
yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
imagine
they switched on him.
Yeah, imagine being the no-name flatty that just put up your first couple videos, and then Dubé comes along and he's the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
And then commenting on it, thinking, wow, he commented on my video. It's
Yeah, and yeah, I can totally see how I can totally see the mechanism. But apparently, yeah, Dubé was. I remember STST was saying, yeah, when he put out a video saying it wasn't flat, Dubé kind of attacked him. Not, I don't know how viciously Dubé gets, but I don't think it's as bad as some of the others. But he was very like, I knew all along you weren't the real deal. You know, get out of my sight, kind of vibe. But yeah, like scorning him because he thinks for himself. Like, well, you were talking about Jeren before, like how he's all your words about Jeren have always been quite pleasant, haven't they? Like I remember asking you years ago, like which ones do you think are, you know, quite nice? And you were like, Jeren was more. I think out of all the guys that did a lot of flat Earth stuff, he was always the one that was going to come out of it. Like it was a suspicious guy, wasn't he? Rather than rude. He was. I remember that being some sort of of him.
He was always nice. His frustrations would be shown, but he was not rude to people. He didn't have his platform based on insulting people like some flat earthers do. And he was this is what distinguished him from other flat earthers. He was questioning himself, and he was questioning what flat earth claimed, and trying to understand how it might work. Where other flat earthers, they take the suspension of disbelief and just go hyper mode with it and say they'll just accept whatever somebody says in word salad form as an explanation. What causes a distant object to be blocked bottom up, far away? Word salad, and people will just say, oh, fuck, that explained it. Good, thank you, nailed it. Like it didn't. There's no physics or optics or geometry or anything behind it. It's just a bunch of stuff that fooled gullible people. Jeren didn't take that. He would always question that. And so that's why I was always of the opinion that he's a nice guy, and that if anybody could escape, it was him.
Yeah, fair play to him, because he obviously took quite a hit by getting out of there. And I remember how it landed at the time. I think one of Craig's videos was, or maybe it was yourself, like, it was like, we're going to let him mull this over to himself for a bit, rather than keeping it on him, you know, day in, day out. Let him come to his own, give him some space, kind of thing, because he's about to say it's not flat. But if we keep trying to double down too much now, he might just feel a bit like I don't. You know, when people push back just because.
Yep. Yeah, he's on. He doesn't need to be on his heels and having to dig in like that. So yeah, and yeah, Ranty was similar, and I don't know if maybe it was a little before when you were kicking around, but Ranty was.
No, I remember Ranty, yeah.
So Ranty had given away his channel, so he already wasn't making money, wasn't regularly doing videos, had already been ostracized by Oakley. Well, Oakley is really good at ostracizing people. Like if you don't follow his rules, you're excommunicated. So he had been excommunicated from Oakley. So he had already didn't have the community as part of a fundamental part of the flat earth filling in what we all need. He didn't have the money. So he was free to think critically. Yeah.
We've in the film, I've actually got a character that is kind of the amalgamation of all these the nastier versions of the flat earth communicators. There's a live stream element to it as well, where my character is talking to people on the streams, just like they do. They sit there of an evening doing their thing. And there is, and I don't want to give it away, but I'm thinking you know who's playing who's acting as the person who is this nasty flat earther, and they're basically kind of up for. They got the opportunity to put all their dislikes of all these different horrible flat earth types, put them all together and just play a version of them that give them a chance to just sort of have a bit of a vent as well. Is because the quintessential horrible conspiracy theorist who kind of bullies Brian, basically. That's the role he has in it. He gives that. He's the only one that's really nasty to, like, outright nasty to Brian, because he's nasty to everyone. But it gives Brian a sort of vulnerability of just like, you know, because he doesn't really want to push back, because this guy's a big deal in the flat Earth world, so he doesn't want to push back. Brian just sort of takes it, and he's like a little puppy in his own little way. He doesn't know what's going on, but yeah, anything to belong to a conspiracy, they'll put up with anything.
Yeah. I've got in the chat here, got some flat earthers dealing with a little bit, but sorry for being a little distracted. I'm running a live stream at the same time as just having a conversation with you. So, would you mind? There's maybe some questions that from the live chat that people might want to ask.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. First, I'll say Creative Force 2 appears to be Dick Wayne, and he's claiming he's not. And so Dick Wayne has an auto block status here. And so if Creative Force 2 would like to complain about being lumped in with Dick Wayne, please send me an email, mctoon@mctoon.net, and make your case. Lacking that, I will simply agree that you do. He does seem to be acting like Dick Wayne. So we have Jack Fatter says, so I assume only flurfs will see this guy as a historian then, since they don't understand parody or sarcasm.
Well, it has been on a particularly big flat earther who we talked about has actually fallen for it, and he put it on his own live stream. This is how unthorough his research was as well. So he put my video on his own live stream, and it took him. So it was actually all the clips I've got of me debating the scientists, which actually lasts about 14-15 minutes, the whole thing.
Yeah.
He looked at that version of a video, and he told his fans to like it and stuff like that, and they're all like subscribing to my channel and clicking like on the video and that. And it took him, and this is a man who wrote his own book recently, right? It took him 9 minutes to decide that it might actually be satire after all. And this is one of the top narcissists.
Yeah.
And he can work out the shape of the earth, no problem. Can't work out that something that has the thumbnail, mockumentary, in the title.
He didn't look.
He didn't show that. No, he does his own research, but underneath, this is the confusion you see. Like, he doesn't do surface level research. He does it's research me and you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, it's more nuanced. We couldn't possibly.
Yeah, it's a lot more sort of special knowledge based information, like mainstream education. Doesn't really.
All right. Just for Kicks is a new member at Einstein. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Lord Luminous Pooh says, does he believe in the Illuminati?
Deliberately?
Yes, deliberate.
Illuminati or...
Yeah, so his name is Lord E. Luminous Pooh. It's a theme. Does
Brian believe?
Does Brian? Yeah, he probably does.
If it fits the day, it depends on the flavour of the day. It's one of those. If that can help win an argument against someone who doesn't know how to refute what I'm about to say, in character, obviously. Why not? Like, it's like asking, does Brian believe that elephants can fly spacecraft? If it helps, yeah, why not? I'll claim that. Not a problem. Yeah, he does. Yeah, basically, he believes that it's that vague group of people who are ruining my life is the sort of long running belief that a lot of these people seem to have. And that's one of the things that really reminds me of when we were talking earlier about the difference between mental states for people, or mental, bouts of being mentally unwell compared to an actual mental illness. Because something that's very common in people with schizophrenia and psychosis is this vague sense of they've done this to me, they've done that to me, or they are doing this to me, or they are about to do that to me. You ask them who it is, like, well, those people. And obviously, in the context of conspiracy theory, especially if you're so far gone that you're flat Earth, they can be anyone, and that's the beauty of it. Flexibility. There's no point in standing by a claim wholeheartedly, because then you got to stay versatile.
It's a good point. All right. Truth Nerd says, what is this? Why is Steve selling out this Globe shill McToon? I'm so confused. Are birds at least still flat? I mean, government drones?
Again, anything birds related, whether they're real or not, depends on the flavour of the day. When it comes to trying to convince someone that the Earth is a magic disc, you got to sort of work out what you think will make them believe what you're trying to say. If you think that they'll repel the idea that birds aren't real, leave it alone. Just leave it to one side. But if it's going to help, bring it in there, wheel it in like a Trojan horse, and then the next thing you know, not a Trojan horse, like a big wooden bird, you just sort of wheel in like the Trojan horse, and then actually inside it is ice walls and infinite resources in Asgard type vibes. Whatever I need to do.
It's all vibes. Yeah, that's it. Dave McKeegan suggests that Brian should employ the help of McFlatty.
They have worked together. Hello, Dave, by the way. I like your work. Yeah, Brian and McFlatty have done a couple together, haven't we? We've worked together over the years.
Well, McFlatty's hard hard to arrange with because he can't keep a schedule. If his mom isn't telling him what time to get up or when to eat or whatever, who knows what's going to happen.
We should start doing like a beef between Brian and McFlatty, maybe.
That could be.
Now they're clashing in the flat Earth community, and now
they're in the wrong tribes. Yeah, they're in warring tribes.
Yeah.
That happens. It does, because that's what truthers are really like. Jack Fetter says, arm is good. He needed the string, though.
The string.
Arm is good. He needed the string, though. Your arm.
The arm experiment.
Yeah. So he maybe needed a plumb bob hanging from the arm.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't think you can define a piece of string as flat, can you?
But if it's vertical. It's vertical.
Yeah.
And all verticals are parallel, according to flat earthers.
Yeah, and gravity would have to be explained in that scenario as well. So therefore, they'll probably ignore it. This is always pretty solid experiment. You got to be careful how you get out of this position, though. Otherwise, you might start saluting things that you wish you had when you move your arm too quickly.
Let's see. Whale Panties, excellent name, says, ask Steve the hardest and most important question. Favorite shark?
Favorite shark?
Yeah. It's a tough one.
I mean, I'm quite a simple man when it comes to sharks. I'm a great white sort of fan.
Oh.
I like just. I mean, I do like the idea of the megalodon. I feel like it's got to be. It's like when you talk about your favourite film star. You sort of you got your different categories, and you got the ones that are deceased and the ones that are still with us.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a great white shark sort.
Yeah. Well, great
My
way.
favourite sea animal though is the orca.
Oh, There you go. Yeah, Great White's good. They had
Really smart.
some couple good hits in the 80s too. Let's see.
I like corvids. That's one of my particular interests. I do like a crow or a raven. I just think they're super smart.
This is right in front of me. I can't fix it. Truth Nerd says flat Earth debunking is edutainment for those outside the rabbit hole. The ones inside are generally far gone and uneducable. Educatable. The few who escape are exceptions and soon abandoned by their peers or their former peers.
Yeah, I think that's one of the differences in this sort of, and for lack of a better term, I'm going to refer to being a flat earther as an ailment. All respect to people with ailments. I don't want to compare them to flat earthers. But yeah, I do kind of liken the sort of, I'm not going to be conclusively right about this, of course, but I feel like there's a lot of crossovers and similarities between people who are addicted to flat earth and people who have got addicted to vices. And take away, they get some sort of stimulus from it. I think anyway. I don't think what I'm saying is the case across every single person. Of course, it's not. But I think there's a they get stimulation out of it, like just that idea of. I've spoken to ex-conspiracists and so what was your life like at the time? And they're like, oh, brilliant, like as in the rush, like getting there. They weren't even flat earthers, but it was the idea of getting home from work. And, you can sort of see it in that Simpsons cartoon vibe of Homer running around the house and, jumping on the couch, pressing the buttons, and Flat Earth logo starts, and, they get to watch what's going on within Conspiracy World for the evening. And they're literally just like, right, what are we going to work out tonight? Nothing new. You might dig yourself into a further rabbit hole. But this is why I think there's some that I've got that empathy for, because it's like they are just looking for something bigger. They are looking for, I don't know, stimulation, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Some sort of stimulation. What I'm doing matters. My life matters. It's important. Other people should be listening to me. I've been saying for years people should listen to me. This is the proof. Thank you very much. You're forgiven. Now listen to me.
The point of what are they going to figure out is really, really critically important, because these people, they think that they've figured out something, that they got the secret knowledge. And so what are you going to do once you figure that? Are you going to go, because there's still a ton of questions. How high is the sun? How does the sun work? What causes it to stay up? How long are distances across the surface? How is actual flight navigated? How is real cartography and surveying done? All of, right, there's the breadth of things that could be explored if you actually did find out some hidden truth. But rather than do that, they go to an echo chamber and just pat themselves on the back about how smart they are that they figured out that secret knowledge. They don't actually go to solve the problems about it. It's super telling.
I don't think the best content these days is solvable from the point of view of revenue, and those are the golden geese. I think the best bit of outrage content or conspiracist content is unsolvable. They don't want it to be dissolved, really, because it keeps on perpetuating their cause. What's a similar sort of I can think of a couple of examples, but I don't really want to start that. I don't want to trick that conversation. But there are cult-like mentalities that, like, there are perfect explanations, that perfectly amicable resolutions that both sides could meet with one another with. But that stops the cash cow. That stops the excitement. It's like, well, no one wants that.
For those who need the money, but the majority of them don't. There's there's for every one person that has a YouTube channel that makes some money, there's 100 or more flat earthers sitting in an echo chamber, patting themselves in the back, not figuring out the details of the hidden truth that they think they figured out.
Yeah.
Right. We have in the chat right now, the Jolly Man. Right. And if you were to ask the Jolly Man any number of 100 different questions about flat Earth, he can't answer one using actual scientific evidence. Not one. What's the sun made of? He doesn't know. How do you compute the distance between points on the surface of the Earth? He doesn't know. All that he knows is how to come up with excuses for every one of those things. But I'll give a chance. Jolly Man, how do you figure out the distance between 2 points on the surface of flat Earth? Prove me right by not answering that. He will prove me right. This is how simple it is to defeat flat Earth. You ask them a question about flat Earth, they can never answer. I can answer for the globe, and I've tested it myself by driving, by using a laser rangefinder, by using a trundle wheel, by flying. It always works. Every single time, it never fails. But never once can a flat earther provide that answer. Undefeated.
And then they'll say, but have you done your own research?
I have in fact done my own research. While he is failing to answer, let's put this up here. The Stringfellow Hawk says, obviously they forgot about the gatekeeper and the keymaster for their plan at the North Pole. That'd be Mark Braun and the 18,000 people he wanted to bring to fling themselves into the lake of fire.
Gatekeeper. That reminds, because
that's from Ghostbusters.
That kind of reminds me of that was in Ghostbusters, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You had the gatekeeper. That's the mythology sometimes. I think being pondered, and that's where the excitement can come along. It's like the Spear of Destiny. See, that's the sort of thing I would never put that in the mockumentary because I feel like that's too much of a broad joke. I feel like that's just like, obviously, I want people to like be 99% sure at points that there's satire, but then it just to sort of pull back and go, oh no, actually, it might not be. As soon as you start saying Spear of Destiny, it's definitely. So I wouldn't even say that. It's a joke.
Well,
and I love the commitment.
Let me give me a second here. Let me get this up on screen here. It's not coming up. What's going on? All right. Well, all right. I'm trying to put you full screen, but instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to I'm going to move your viewport so people can see what's behind you on the wall, on the poster on the wall.
I'll just what there. Hang on.
No, you don't have to move anything. It's perfect. I can already see it. Right. It's the bottom left poster. I am your density. Back to the Future.
Yeah, it's part of the interior that I've been. This is my house. But I've had to get permissions from my landlord that I can put loads of. I've got lots and lots of like you can design a newspaper and then I can clip it all up and things like that. And I've got all these things and I've had to ask them like, if I happen to go and put like 50 thumbtacks in the wall, is that okay? I promise I'll fill it in with polyfiller afterwards. And he was like, why? Like, funny story. But yeah.
Anyway, my point was the line from Back to the Future where he says, "I am your density," the spear of destiny. Let's check back in with Jolly Man, who has had a chance to prove me right on flat earthers can't answer anything about flat Earth. Jolly Man, when asked to provide how Flat Earth determines the distance between points on the surface, he answers, invented because of a curve. You don't need to invent calculus if it's curving. And says, liquid molecules collapse under the stress of their own gravitas and require a lateral tension to maintain form. But you know what he hasn't done? He hasn't answered. He says, oblate spheroid, not a sphere transitioning between a potato asteroid and a sphere, not enough gravity. He has not, in fact, answered the question. What is the distance between points on the surface of flat Earth? There is no answer. Flat Earthers have no answer, and he proved me right. I love being right. He also says physics, scales, fluid mechanics, dynamics. Just word salad examples, perfect examples of word salad. All right, Jim Daniels says the Byrds, great band from the 60s. Talking about birds aren't real. And then Dave McKeegan says, Brian in an escape room trying to solve the globe puzzle.
Yeah, we are going to an escape room. I don't know if you were there for that part of the stream, but yeah, we are.
I think he did. All right. Well, should we? I want to see what the state is of. We got another backer, 383 total. So, people, it linked in the description of this video and in the live chat pinned is the Kickstarter. So people go there, even if it's $1, it'll help more than you can know just to do $1, because it will help to promote it within Kickstarter, and I think that's a big help. So
that's what really pushes it up.
All right. No answer from the Jolly Man. Well, thank you very much to the Jolly Man for proving me right. Thank you, Steve, for doing this. I am really looking forward to the feature length production. The pilot was absolutely amazing. I loved it. I'm like, I got to go watch it again.
I did put it in the chat again, but I'll put it in at the bottom again so that people can, if you haven't already seen the pilot, or if you want to watch it again, I'll stick it in the chat. Look at this, I'm getting almost proficient at live stream.
Nice. I'll put that in the description.
Okay. Should I stick it in the chat now anyway?
Yep.
At the bottom. Cool. All right.
All right. Yeah, almost there.
I can make films, I promise.
Yeah.
Can't.
It's all right. Anyway, I have later tonight a live stream if people are interested. This particular video will pop you to that one. It doesn't start for another few hours, so you can do whatever else you want between now and then. Anything else you got for us?
That's all good, mate. Thanks for having me. Thanks for hosting this. I really appreciate it. Yeah, but it's a really good chunk of the funds raised already. So I'm really grateful for everyone who has already pledged. There are some nice perks in there as well. People can get posters and, signed stuff. And I did want to do a DVD. I will do a DVD, but I couldn't make it a pledge just in case it would have taken. I'd have basically had to ask for something like £3,000 worth of. It really affected how much I'd have to ask for.
Okay.
Obviously, DVD manufacturing, you get a minimum of 500 or whatever, 1,000. But there will be a DVD out of this. The card game I showed earlier. I've literally got them coming now.
Is that one of the perks?
That's not actually on the perks, but I'll be selling that separately once, because it's going to be about for another 50 days before it gets here.
Oh, okay. Because I want to get that card game too. So, all right.
Yeah, they'll be. I don't know how much yet, but they'll be under a tenner. Unfortunately, the shipping to America was obviously about 22 quid.
That's the problem.
You know, that'll be the tariffs, I suppose.
All right. Got a late question coming from We Are All Golgafrinchians. Says, why is that not showing? It should be showing. It's not. Anyway, he says, someone said the Spear of Destiny is called the Longinus. So if it can't be found, is it a cunning Longinus?
Sounds about right, yeah. I'm happy to assume that's, yeah.
Sounds about
That's
right.
now a fact. That's now a fact we can all repeat
There we go.
independently
All right. Well,
of each other.
thank you so much, Steve Parsons. Let your character, Brian Kirby, know that we appreciate all of his hard work too.
Thanks very much.
And everybody, we'll see you next time.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks to everyone that's pledged. I really can't wait, honestly, to show everyone the film. So thank you so much. It means a lot to me, and I'll see everyone soon.
All right. Bye.
Cheers.